You work late today. No. Whoa.
Be nice to our supervisor.
Clean the coffee maker.
No.
Go, buddy.
No.
Consider the last time you said yes to something, when you would have preferred to have said no. Maybe you worried saying no would damage a relationship.
No.
Or maybe you didn't want to put your job at risk.
You work late today. No. Whoa.
In Studio Fizbin's Say No More, you assume the role of a corporate intern on a quest to reclaim their lunch stolen by upper management.
Thanks, intern.
You go to battle with your manager, the C-suite, and beyond, wielding the power of a word never before spoken within the walls of your office. Say No More demonstrates in an over-the-top fashion how being able to say no can be a positive.
Since you have, like, a real job now, and I'm still looking, would you be able to pay this month's rent? Well, call me after lunch.
Although silly on the surface, Say No More addresses the matter of social conditioning. From the moment we are born, we are taught to associate the word yes with being agreeable and no with being disagreeable. As we age, our desire to be perceived as agreeable leads us to answer yes to almost any question, even when it works against our own best interests. As a facilitator of serious illness discussions, I'm always looking for a way to frame questions so that the person feels comfortable answering in a way that honors their genuine selves. I realize people will often reflexively answer yes, and so I will rework questions to remove the onus of answering no. Sharing serious news with a patient requires an environment conducive to discussion, and a big part of that is getting the timing right. A mindful clinician might first ask the patient, "Is this a good time to talk?" But this phrasing risks receiving that reflexive yes, whether it's actually a good time or not. We can work around this dynamic by instead asking, "Is this a bad time to talk?" That way, the patient can give a yes and will follow up with when it would be a better time, or they will reply with a no that allows them to feel ownership of the conversation that follows.
Pretty please. No.
Oh, come on, please. Oh,
Pretty please.
it worked.
No.
Timing is equally important when calling a family member on the phone, where many serious conversations have been taking place these days. I often find clinicians diving in with difficult news the moment they hear "hello" on the other end of the line. The obvious problem is that the person receiving the call could be in the middle of an important meeting or stuck driving in traffic. Asking, "Is this a bad time?" disrupts the autopilot responses so common on distracted phone calls, and creates the opportunity to either say yes in a way that protects their needs in that moment, or say no in a way that helps shift their focus to the conversation at hand. Clinicians wishing to address questions of life-prolonging therapy will often ask their patients questions like, "Do you still want us to do everything?" or "Would you like to go home?" Both questions can be problematic as they bias towards an affirmative response. Experts in serious illness communication recommend asking patients about what matters most to them before jumping into choices. Once the patient's values are made explicit, we can pose a question that necessitates introspection and a prioritization of values, regardless of whether the answer is yes or no. That may sound something like this. "I'm hearing that spending as much time at home with your family is very important to you, but you're also interested in that clinical trial. Would you be willing to risk that time at home for the chance to extend your life?" In this case, no allows the patient to establish clear boundaries on treatment to preserve what they value most, whereas yes makes explicit the hierarchy of their priorities to help the clinician offer their best advice on next steps.
The intern showed me that it's okay to be me.
Amazing!
The intern showed me that there is no time like the present.
Palliative care aims to help patients take control of their lives in the context of a serious illness. Creating space for patients to say no when needed is one way to foster that sense of control. Next time you need to have an important conversation with someone, consider how that discussion may be enriched by giving them the opportunity to say no more. Hey, if you made it all the way to this point, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it and would like to check out the written review, head on over to pallimed.org, which is linked below. Pallimed also has over 1,500 posts about a huge range of palliative care topics. And for all things games and health, keep it right here at digital.games.
One last thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this. Yes! You learn well!